You know you're gonna see the best of the worst with the shit flick critic. You know you're gonna see shit that's absurd with the shit flick critic. From Pandemic the Room, Samurai Cop Troll 2, Man of Sense of Fate, my only connection to. So come along, see the worst with me, I'm the shit flick critic.
G'day everyone and welcome to yet again another episode of the Shit Flick Critic. I'm your host Andrew Lewis and I apologise for the gap in between this video and my last, but my life's been pretty crazy.
I moved up to Edithburgh on the York Peninsula to help my dad renovate his kitchen. I also spent some time in the Flinders Ranges at a cattle station. I even got to meet a little Joey. Oh look, there I am, kissies. Oh.
But anyway, I am the Shit Flick Critic and criticise shit flicks I shall. But to start, let's talk about the year 1990 for a moment, shall we? As there were some incredible things that happened that year.
Saddam Hussein orders the Iraqi invasion on neighbouring Kuwait. East and West Germany unite after 29 years of separation. Tim Berners-Lee creates the World Wide Web. I was born.
But something else happened. Production began on a film so bad, so poor in production,
that it was sealed away in the depths of a castle. The film they call Samurai Cop.
Are responsible for bringing you from San Diego.
His real name is Joe Marshall. They call him Samurai.
I want him dead! Just how long will it take you to bring them to their knees? At what cost and how many lives?
Now I'm telling these motherfuckers I'll have their stinking bodies in garbage bags and ship them back to Japan for fertilizer. Got it?
It was directed by Iranian-born immigrant Amir Shavan, who also directed other hit films such as Hollywood Cop and Killing American Style.
and I think that title needs a comma, because instead of it saying that the main character is killing American style, it's saying that he's killing American style, as in fashion style, which doesn't make any come to think of it, maybe it is an appropriate title. The film never had a theatrical release, and was eventually picked up by a Polish distributor for release on VHS and given this cover, which has very little to do with the movie. It was eventually found years later and released on DVD and given this cover, which has even less to do with the movie. Who knows what they're going to put on the Blu-ray cover?
The lead actor of Samurai Cop, Matt Hannon, has only recently opened to the public about his experience after having been presumed dead for a number of years. Matt has said that the film was an absolute chaos to shoot, and at one point, Amir had him actually put a stuntman on fire out, all the way out in the middle of nowhere, without a fire crew present.
Amir apparently ran out of money several times while filming, resulting in some very obvious shifts in quality throughout the film, and like a shit night, the dialogue has been poorly dubbed.
Are you sure this is a good bust?
Yeah, cocaine.
You got him!
We could shoot this in a mafia boss's house.
One of his own men.
In an obvious attempt to save money, Amir does a lot of the ADR himself.
Which becomes extremely noticeable after a while.
In no way we go under Fujiyama's flag.
In corridor 2.
Go behind him, get back.
There's even an instance where he has a conversation with himself.
They'll come with the boat. Yeah. You stay here and wait.
You know, that was just one guy doing all those voices. I can't believe it.
Amir also did the voices to a lot of the cops outside of the hospital, and I think because of his limited English, the only phrase he could think of for these characters was,
Hey, wait a minute. Hey, wait a minute.
Hey, wait a minute!
Another phrase that's consistent in the movie is, leave him alone! Which sounds very funny coming from the mouths of some grown men.
Leave him alone! Get out of here, you asshole! Leave me alone!
Freeze you motherfuckers! Leave him alone!
I'll teach you to show concern for the well-being of others.
Another production problem that Amir had was that after he had told Matt Hannon that filming had wrapped, Matt got a haircut at the behest of his agent.
Then Amir suddenly popped up, devastated, saying that there were still scenes to shoot and decided to shoot the remaining scenes using a luscious woman's wig. There's even a scene where it falls off for a few seconds.
My favourite part about the wig is that it seems like at some point someone said, you know what, that really does look like a wig. I know, why don't you wear this blue hat? No one will notice it then.
Sometimes I have absolutely no idea where the characters are in relation to each other. Like this scene, for instance. Frank is talking to Joe while another police officer stands in the background. Then all of a sudden the female cop starts talking to them. But where the fuck is she? Is she behind the trees? Then how can she see them? And how could they hear her without her having to shout?
Given that a lot of this movie was shot months apart, which can be discerned by whether Matt has his wig or not, or the dramatic changes in colour temperature, There are a lot of continuity mishaps, and there's no better example than the fight scene with Okamura.
When the fight starts, they're in someone's backyard, then they're in dense bushlands, then they're just in a dirt paddock.
Either the deforestation in LA is happening a lot more rapidly than I thought it was, or the location manager for this film needs to be shot in the face.
The story begins with a reckless katana-wielding Yakuza gang known as Katana. I know, I was shocked too. Led by the fierce Fujiyama and his right-hand man, Yamashita, played by Robert Zadar, a man with a chin so big it looks like the aftermath of a bee beard gone horribly wrong. The Katana gang is running amok in LA, and there is only one man that the LAPD can call upon to fix the problem, and that man is Joe Marshall.
He speaks fluent Japanese. He got his martial arts training from the masters in Japan.
And for someone who is supposed to have been trained in Japan and who can speak fluent Japanese, he can be a dick when it comes to pronouncing people's names.
Are you Fujiyama? These, what's his name? Omaha, Yamaha, whatever his name is, right?
The entire film was basically one big clusterfuck of cliches from 80s cop action flicks. You've got the loose cannon main character, the comic relief buddy cop.
Why did you come under?
I'm an undercover cop.
The angry chief that's opposed to his methods.
You're on your way to San Diego, and I'll write the order.
Hey, Joe, this way. And what they want is results. And that's what we're going to give them. We're going to give them the results.
What does that mean, exactly?
It means he gets results, you stupid chief!
The dame in distress, the nasty gang that kills its own failed henchmen, and the mullets. Oh, the mullets. The action in this film is somewhat okay, but after a while it can get pretty repetitive. It seems like Joe's main strategy for shooting people is, he comes out from cover, someone shoots and misses, giving him enough time to shoot them. The methods used to create bullet holes and wounds range from what appears to be a paintball gun, to throwing fireworks at a car, to just paint, to just performance.
For a movie called Samurai Cop, there's barely any sword fights throughout the entire film.
Other than the underwhelming fight in the climax, the only other two times we see a katana, the wielders are immediately Raiders of the Lost Ark. And then there's this guy.
I can't swing a bat, but I know I can swing a bat better than that.
Plus, baseball bats are American.
You're destroying other people's property with a baseball bat. It's un-Australian. Try using this.
There's only one car chase in the film, and due to Amir's lack of budget and inability to close off the street, it's done at the speed limit. And may I add, all the more awesome for it.
Hold up!
Hey, man, watch it! Watch it! Oh, man.
The acting in this movie ranges from barely passable to oh my god, please stop now.
Not much, sir. There's a nurse in there giving him an injection.
Well, it seems there's this restaurant.
You want to have another go at that, champ? Although everyone is pretty bad, none for me is worse than Fujiyama's lawyer.
I am Mr. Fujiyama's attorney. Officer, you have no right insulting my client. But Captain Roma, let me warn you.
I can't act. I just can't act.
Yes, that wasn't great, was it?
I wish I could say that Matt Hannon was consistently mediocre, but when he does his monologues in that deadpan voice of his, like in the restaurant, he crosses into shit territory.
Now I'm telling these son of a bitches that we respect the Japanese of this country.
Apparently this was because on the day of shooting at the restaurant, Amir didn't get any close-up of Mark's lines, and instead had him come back and deliver the lines in his office while a lamp stood in for Fujiyama. Mark's unenthusiasm shows.
Not for death merchants who distribute drugs to our children through schools and on the streets.
And Matt's wasn't the only pickup to be done in Amir's office. The actor that plays Frank Washington, Mark Fraser, does an alright job. But for God's sakes, Mark, stop looking at the camera.
I don't want to see your face.
Don't look at the camera. Mustn't look at the camera. Sort of breaks the illusion this is real life.
And it's not just Mark that looks at the camera.
I think the actor playing Fujiyama must be a trained ventriloquist, because he can't stop talking through his teeth.
This is America, land of freedom and law. A man is innocent until he's proven guilty.
Robert Dazar is probably the most competent actor out of the whole cast, which isn't saying a lot. But if anything, he takes the movie far too seriously.
My favourite scene involving Robert has to be the hospital scene.
A witness against Fujiyama is in the hospital after some small burns to a portion of his body, when Robert is ordered to go and collect his head before he can testify. So the red woman sneaks into the burnt man's room posing as a janitor.
I have to change the trash, is that alright?
And while inside, Robert emerges from the cart, chops his head off, and they get out of there without a hitch.
Oh my god.
Call security!
Isn't he?
There is just so many things wrong with that scene. Janitors don't wear white coats. You don't change the trash, you just take the old bin bag out and put a new one in. Seeing Robert Zadar squatting down to that cart is the least menacing thing I've seen in my life. Why is Robert Zadar even wearing a disguise if he enters and exits the room in the cart? And someone really needs to change those rags.
While we're at the hospital, we may as well talk about the scene you've all been waiting for. The nurse scene.
This exchange was uploaded to YouTube all the way back in 2007. And is what sparked initial interest in the film. So after Joe and Frank question the nurse about the well-being of their suspect...
Do you think he'd be able to answer a few questions?
No way, his lips are burned.
Joe and the nurse then leave the room. Then the nurse says to Joe... Then Joe says to the nurse... Just watch.
Do you like what you see?
I love what I see.
Would you like to touch what you see?
Yes. Yes, I would.
Would you like to go out with me?
Yes, I would.
Would you like to fuck me?
Bingo.
Well, then let's see what you've got. Doesn't interest me. Nothing there.
Nothing there? Just exactly what would interest you? Something the size of a jumbo jet?
Have you been circumcised?
Yeah, I have. Why?
Well, your doctor must have cut a big portion of it off.
No, he was a good doctor.
Good doctors make mistakes, too. That's why they buy insurance.
I think this scene is how Amir thought that Americans flirted with each other. This scene would have played out a lot differently had he lived in Australia.
Are you having a perv?
Yeah.
Want a copper feel?
Yeah.
Want a root?
Yeah.
We'll whip your dick out.
Righto.
Samurai Cop lives up to its legacy as a purely awful film and will no doubt live through the ages. Here at the Shit Flick Critic, I review films based on 5 categories. Number 1, laughability. There are definitely times while watching this movie where I laughed out loud, like the nurse scene or looking at Joe's wig. But this movie is a bit too serious for its own good too. Number 2, rewatchability. I've probably seen Samurai Cop now about 2 or 3 times, and unless I was showing it to a friend, I don't know if I could sit through the whole hour and a half again. Number 3, pace. This film has some very long scenes that feel like they go on forever. The last half an hour of the film just seems like it's made up of people shooting at each other, which can get very repetitive and boring. Not to mention da 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 da. Number 4, production value. Samurai Cop is rife with technical errors. Things like too much headroom or that awful colour temperature. And I know that Amir did have production hell and a lack of budget, but some of these things are just inexcusable. And number 5, intention. I really do think Amir was just trying to make a run-of-the-mill action flick that everyone would enjoy, but due to his own inability, it became the wonder we all know today. I do think his heart was in the right place though, and that's all that matters. Taking all that into consideration, I give Samurai Cop -3 stars. It does have some amazing moments, but they're few and far between in a sea of shit. Plus, I still haven't gotten over Amir subjecting us all to Okamura's tainted love. So thanks everyone for joining me on yet again another episode of the Shit Flick Critic. I'm sorry about the gap in between this one and my last. I'm going to try to make these as often as possible. I'd also just like to give an amazing thank you to everyone who liked, commented and subscribed to my last video. I really appreciate all your enthusiasm, and it's because of you I made this one, and it's because of you I'll make more. On one last note, I would just like to give a shout out to the boys at Red Letter Media. They did an interview with Mark Hannon that's just superb, and they also do a lot of other amazing stuff, so it's a channel you guys really got to check out. Other than that, that's really it. Thanks again. If you want to look at my other episode, it should be right there. And that's it. See you later.